Hello again. Right, I actually meant to do this video a couple of days ago, but I've been ill. I've had flu. In fact, I don't think it was flu. I think it was worse than that. It was either man flu or Spanish flu or Ebola or something. I don't know what it was. Whatever it was, it definitely wasn't just a cold. It was much worse than that. Anyway, I'm over it now, nearly. I still sound a little bit like Ed Miliband, but forgive me. So today, I'm in a 2015 Audi A4. And I know I'm a little bit late to the Audi party, but it's never really been a party that I wanted to attend. In 2006, they redesigned Audis and they got the big grille at the front and the LEDs and made them look quite cool and modern. But it never really did anything for me. They always seem to be bought by Bellends, basically. They were always just a bit bland and a bit boring, especially the interiors. They were basically Golfs. You got a Golf dash, a Golf key. It just didn't feel very premium. You could tell exactly where they'd got all the bits from. But that all changed last year because I bought a, what year was it? 2012. I bought a 2012 Audi TTS, which was a black edition. And I loved that thing. It was really good. It was the Roadster, so it was a soft top, which I know sounds like a bit of a girl's car, but it was 275 horsepower, four-wheel drive. It had the S-tronic gearbox, which was like, the gear changes were instantaneous. And the noise it used to make from the four exhausts, when you changed gear, the exhaust would pop at the back. I did really like that car. Anyway, so since then, I've kind of changed my opinion on Audis. So anyway, back to today's car. It's a 2015 A4 Black Edition Plus with 177 horsepower and an automatic gearbox. Now before I start thinking of all the negative things to tell you, and there are a few, just wanted to discuss the colour of it. Have you ever seen a better colour for a car than this? It's Sepang blue, Audi call it. And that with all the Black Edition black bits instead of the chrome, I just think looks fantastic. In an age now where every new car seems to be a varying shade of grey or black, what a great colour for a car this is. The weather is appalling today. It's not stopped raining for days. And I'm starting to steam up a little bit. The interior quality on all new Audis is just excellent. Almost everything's laid out where you'd expect it to be. Everything feels premium. The dash is nice, everything's laid out really well. Now for some reason the buttons for the infotainment system are here rather than on my Q7 or A8. They're usually down here, which you can use while you're driving along. Whereas by putting them there, you've got to reach for them, which isn't really a convenient place, so I don't know why they did that. So this 2-litre turbo diesel is outstanding on fuel. In fact, let me tell you what I've been averaging. That's still a bit golfish, the way that you access like the trip computer on the end of the stalk. Straight out of a Golf, that. So I've been averaging 46 miles per gallon. And here in the UK, the road tax is only 120 quid a year, so it's just so cheap to run this car. I had a service done by Audi yesterday, which included a brake fluid change, and it cost 230 quid. That, for a main dealer, I thought was really good. So it's not going to break the bank to run it. The ride's very good actually. It's not too firm, but it still feels quite sporty. The steering is a little on the light side, but it's still quite engaging. I quite like the steering wheel. It's quite a chunky steering wheel, which I don't normally like, but I think it kind of works well on this car. And you've got the flat bottom, which all new Audi S lines have, which again looks really good, but actually to use it's not the best. You know when you jump in your car and you kind of set off and you're driving with your knees while you're trying to put your seatbelt on? Well, you'd need really long legs to do this because of the flat bottom of the steering wheel. It's not just me that does that, is it? I don't think it is. Now, as with all non Quattro Audis, it's front wheel drive, this car, which does let the side down a little bit. I think 177 horsepower for a front wheel drive car is too much for the front wheels to cope with. So you do get a bit of torque steer, and going in the bends, it just doesn't it just doesn't feel as good as a 3 Series BMW. I mean, it does give you confidence, actually, this car, the way it handles. It gives you confidence to push it, but the front wheel drive model doesn't really cope very well. It's kind of like it's misleads you a little bit. It writes checks that the car can't deliver. Now, unfortunately, unlike the S-tronic gearboxes you get in some Audis, like my TTS last year, this one has a multitronic, which is basically a CVT, and it just sucks the fun out of the car completely. It's like fun prevention, really, this gearbox. It's a little bit dim-witted and a little bit slow. It just prevents you from having any fun, which is a shame because the engine's really good. The engine's strong. This putting it's got the stupid start-stop thing as well, which I hate because I always think the car's died. So yeah, the CVT box, they give you an engine with loads of power and loads of torque, but then they couple it to this CVT gearbox, which is kind of like, it's like going on a second or third date and then being chaperoned by your grandparent. It's just too sensible, this gearbox. Come on then. You're welcome. So you put your foot down, it's just about 2 seconds of a delay, which is, I'm kind of splitting hairs really, but it could be better with an S-tronic gearbox, this car, and four-wheel drive. Over the bumps it's pretty good, copes pretty well. Now Audi are notoriously mean with the optional extras that you get, and you don't get much as standard. 3 years ago when this car was new, it cost 30 grand. And I know that not because I've done my research, but I've found a receipt for it in the glove compartment. Yeah, £29,950 this car cost, pounds. Which does sound like quite a lot for an A4. Especially an A4 that doesn't have sat-nav, doesn't have reverse camera, doesn't have keyless entry. You have to actually put the key into the dash. Yeah, it doesn't really have the kick down that you'd expect, and it's all because of this stupid CVT box. It's got flappy paddles too, actually, which let me put it into sport mode and then manual. I'll kick down into third. Red line at 4.5. Yeah, the gear shifts are pretty instant actually in manual mode, but not as good as a S-tronic. It's an 8-speed gearbox, this actually. I only just found out now. You can tell I've done my research, can't you? Yeah, out on the country roads it is quite good fun, this car actually. Despite what I said earlier. Why are you out walking today? The weather is hideous. Go home and put the fire on, watch a movie. Now this car's got enough extras that you won't feel shortchanged, but not that many where you would brag about the extras to your friends or show off about the extras, if you know what I mean. It's kind of just about acceptable, really. It's amazing how many squeaks and rattles you hear actually when the radio's off when I'm recording one of these things. Usually you've got the radio on all the time, so you don't hear these things, but every car I've filmed, there's some little annoying little squeaks. This being an Audi, you wouldn't expect it, but there still are some. Now, I hate diesels. Completely hate them. I think they're just bought by people, well, they're bought for one reason, to save money. No one in the history of the world has ever bought a diesel because they wanted a diesel. It's just to save money. They always sound like an old transit van, always vibrate, always noisy, and they smoke. And you might save money on fuel economy, but it will cost you more money in the long run when the turbo fails and the injectors fail and the DPF blocks up and the EGR valve needs replacing, and it's endless really. So it is quite short-sighted to buy a diesel for the saving in fuel. But I really must say this one is excellent. It's smooth, there's not much noise in the cabin, so it doesn't sound like an old diesel locomotive. It doesn't vibrate when you're stopped at traffic lights like most diesels do. You wouldn't really know that you were in a diesel, so it's actually not a bad choice because you get the extra torque. I'm still deaf from this flu thing. Maybe that's why I can't hear the diesel engine. Here's me banging on about how quiet it is. It might just be because I'm deaf. Now, also, I love the look of this car. I think the proportions are just right. I think the design of the wheels is really good, actually. I think it just looks sporty, especially with this is the Black Edition Plus, so you don't get any chrome on it. It's all gloss black, which I think looks really good. So you might find that a 2015 3 Series is a little bit more engaging to drive. But for the average person in average everyday conditions, you won't really tell, and you won't be disappointed with an A4, definitely not. So prices start for a 2015 model about 15 grand. If you want a nice low mileage one like this, you pay 17 or 18. So thank you for watching, I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, I've got plenty more videos to come. Hopefully by the time I do my next one I won't be all adenoidal and sinusy.